Kids line up at the door and count them off in fours and then have them go to the corresponding table just to make that process go a little smoother. But so once they're seated, I am going to acknowledge the fact that yes, you have a sticky note in front of you. That will be yours for this first activity. You see on the board here, sensory poem. I want you to think about what that means, and we're going to get to that in a second. But first, I'm going to need you guys to close your eyes. So close your eyes, bear with me, imagine this scenario. You walk into the movie theater after buying your tickets. It is dark, but the previews playing on the screen help light up the room. As your eyes adjust, it gets easier and easier to see the red velvet seats filled with people. You're later than you thought. There are almost no seats left. Your feet push off the ground as you start running up the carpeted staircase to get to the 2 seats in the back. When you sit down to relax, you suddenly smell the buttery popcorn of the man on your left and the gooey chocolate of the woman on your right. You remember that your mom bought you licorice, so you tear open the package and put a sweet strawberry vine into your mouth. The flavor tickles your tongue. Suddenly, a child starts kicking the back of your seat. Your chair jerks back and forth quickly, and you feel your head hit the soft cushion. The hinges of the chair squeaks, and the child laughs. The child's mother yells at him to stop, and your chair is still again. The lights get even darker, and the screen goes black as the movie begins to play. People are shushing as the title gets bigger now on the screen. Okay, open your eyes. Now you may have noticed some descriptive statements in there, and what I want you to do now on this sticky note is I want you to write down one phrase, one descriptive word, something that sticks out in your mind that you remember about that passage. And then just raise your hand when you're done so I know we're all good to go. Great. So, now, you see here I have listed the 5 senses. Sight, touch, taste, smell. Believe it or not, I would venture to guess that all of your descriptive words fit within these 5 categories. So now what I want you to do is I want you to come up to the board and I want you to put your sticky note where it best fits, where you think it fits. Great! So you guys have started already our sensory poem that we are going to create. A sensory poem is a poem made out of sensory statements here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create one together. And the reason that we're doing this is because when you are reading, when you are writing, description is simply important. It is important because when you're reading, what if I had said, we walked to a movie theater, we went inside, it was fun, had some popcorn. You don't want to read that. No. And so as a writer, you got to keep that in mind. So these senses are the tools in your tool belt here. You're making simple sensory statements, and you can develop them later. You can use metaphor or simile. But for now, we're going to touch on the core of that descriptive writing. So we're just going to write a simple sensory poem together, and you guys have started that already for me. So let's see. Being kicked. So I feel, we'll go with that. I feel the child kicking my chair. So we don't have one for sight. Is there something that you guys remember that might pertain to sight? Erin? Sorry, go for it. Go for it.
So I remember the description of the lights getting dimmer and darker.
Okay. Let's see the lights dimming. For taste we have 2, so I taste perfect. The buttery popcorn and the gooey chocolate. Did you find that?
We're hungry.
Who wants to see a movie after this? Smell the buttery popcorn. Ooh, interesting. That's interesting.
Smell the buttery popcorn.
Smell the buttery popcorn.
That is
Hey, twice.
interesting.
That is just fine. Interesting how you guys remembered that differently though. Because I'm going back here to what was the line? Yeah, you smell the buttery popcorn, but we went straight to taste. That's cool. Okay, what do we hear?
The shushing.
I hear. All right, so we have 5 sensory statements that are now turned into a poem. So we could call this poem. Very dramatic. Now, any questions so far about sensory statements, about using our senses as tools? Do y'all feel kind of comfortable with how we experience things and how we might use those experiences to then describe something? Cool, okay, so you all are at a numbered table. And I am going to pass out a few different scenarios for this table, for this table, for this table, and for this table. And I'm going to give you a sensory poem template, just like what's on the board. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to write 5 sensory statements, making up a sensory poem about the event or instance that is on your piece of paper. Before we get started, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do that. Can I get a thumbs up if we feel comfortable with those instructions? Thumbs down if you have any questions? Great. Okay. Go ahead.
You're going to be passing me this all in digitally.
Oh, I have it all on my, it's on my lesson plan file, yeah. And then with a bigger group, I would have had each table do what we're gonna do now, but I'm just gonna have you guys go in twos if that's okay. All right, so let's pretend is that. So what I want you guys to do now is, So like I said, it would be like the tables would take turns sharing, but if you guys could pair up with each other, and I want whoever is listening to close their eyes and listen to the sensory poem, and vice versa. And yeah, so.
Okay, I'm not gonna tell you the title. I see an ocean of lemons. I feel the blistering heat of the sun. I smell the salty waves. I hear children playing together.
Colors that are dark.
I
I
taste
feel the cold
grains
air.
of sand in my
I
sandwich.
smell dust. I hear people whisper.
my favorite. Or maybe we're just like quiet.
Okay,
Okay.
I see
So,
ants crawling by and feel the
I
grass
see the
between my
candles on the
toes.
cake.
I
I
smell
feel the rubber
barbecue.
balloons.
I
I
hear
smell the
kids
smoke of
playing
the
in the
candles as I
playground.
blow them out.
And
I hear
taste
the kids
my
chew.
burger.
I taste my cake. Good.
So when both
Oh, yeah.
of you guys have shared, now I want you to go back and I want you, without looking at her sheet, without looking at the other sheet, to just try and say at least one of the statements that maybe you remember.
I remember tasting all of it.
Grains of sand in
I
her sandwich.
feel
So what was the one that you remember
rubber
from
on the
her?
balloon.
Grains of sand in her sandwich.
And I
What is your
remember barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbecue.
Smell for barbecue.
Yes, yes.
So we've got a grain of sand sandwich.
Yep.
The barbecue smell. What did you guys remember?
The taste of a hot dog.
And the feel of the rubber on a balloon.
Nice.
Ooh.
Why do you think that those ones stuck in your head?
I've experienced it before.
Okay, so there's a connection you made there.
I am hungry.
You were hungry. Yes,
Smelling
another
hard.
connection. You need food. You're a human. You need food.
The description of the balloon, it was rubber.
I thought that was a really unique. I like that.
Yeah, I just really like hot dogs. So
Yes, of course. Well, so that would be. That's kind of the end of what I had planned.